Hey guys, welcome to the brand new Suzuki V-Strom 800DE. First off, I hope you're all doing well out there and you are having a lovely day. Now, into the review. I'm very much riding the new 800DE today in a view of comparing it to the brand new Honda XL750 Transalp. Now, I rode the Transalp the other day. Needless to say, I was extremely impressed with it. Today we've got the 800DE from Suzuki, middleweight adventure bike. These two bikes are really up against each other, really competing with each other. There's going to be some really interesting differences. Now, I've also ridden the Honda Hornet and the brand new Suzuki GSX 8S. This has the same engine as the Suzuki 8S, a naked street bike. The Honda Hornet has the same engine as the new Transalp. Both really interesting comparisons. Let's get into this bike and see how she rides today and see if it is better than the new Transalp. It is a high benchmark. I love that bike, but it could just do it.
So the Suzuki retailing at £10,499, whereas the Honda is exactly £1,000 less, £9,499. Straight off the bat, the Honda's looking like a bit of a bargain. If we just go straight in with the looks, hands down, I'm going to come straight out with it, prefer the looks of the Honda. Looks are subjective. I don't think this is a bad looking bike. First off, I want to change this screen, make that a little bit higher, but we'll get into all of that a bit later in the video. Let's hit the road or the gravel track, light bit of graveling, and then we're going to go out onto the road and we'll start comparing the specs and basically just what the feel of this bike is initially compared to the Honda Transalp. And we're off. Look at this, a bit of extreme off-roading. Of course, I'm joking. But this is a middleweight adventure bike geared towards off-roading. So I found a little gravel track to take it up. Actually, it feels quite nice. It's got a 21-inch front wheel. It's got a gravel setting for the traction control and 3 different rider modes. I'm in C at the moment, being sort of your off-road mode. And then B being sort of normal and A being your sporty mode. Feels good. Feels quite confidence inspiring actually, just on this extremely light gravel track. That's the beauty of these middleweight adventure bikes. They are easier than the bigger adventure bikes. I would be nervous if I was on a big adventure bike riding on this at the moment, but on this Suzuki it feels a little bit more at home with that lighter weight. So far, nice on a little gravel track. Okay, so with the Suzuki being a parallel twin, same as the Honda, near enough 800cc, very similar engines. I can tell you when you're riding them, they deliver their power in completely different ways. On this Suzuki, it's got 83 horsepower, whereas the Honda has 91. The Suzuki, however, does have a little bit more torque at 78 and the Honda at 75, but the way this Suzuki engine is tuned, it is quite ridiculously impressive how low down it delivers its power. It's really good. Immediately jumping on, it is just that torque is immediate and it makes the bike feel quite quick. It makes that engine feel quicker than it is, if you see what I mean. Whereas on the Honda, if you're comparing it to the Honda, oh, it's nice and light handling actually. It feels light. If you're comparing this engine to the Honda delivers its power higher up. The Honda's actually quite fun to rev out, and that is a fantastic engine as well. They're just different styles. I have a feeling this Suzuki engine may suit an adventure bike really well. So immediately on the Suzuki, oh, I'm quite enjoying this actually, more than I thought. The handling, very similar to on the Transalp. The handling and the weight of the bike is really nice. It's a complete sweet spot. It's so refreshing comparing it to large adventure bikes like the 1200 GS and the KTM 1290, etc. This genuinely feels, in the same way as the Honda does, lighter and sort of quite maneuverable, quite sort of flickable. It's a really nice feeling, very refreshing. They're a bit of a sweet spot, these middleweight adventure bikes. This is a nice bike. This motor in an adventure form, this is working. It's extremely smooth and you just got that torque everywhere where you need it, so it's really quite relaxing because that power is immediately there. Plenty of go, it picks up nicely, it's not rabid fast, and I quite like that about it. It's a smooth power delivery, even though that torque does come in fast. Riding position, of course, as expected, it's sit up and beg, it's very comfortable. Handlebars fall perfectly to my arms. Just dipping in and out of these corners, just lovely. And it goes when you want it to. This is just what you want from a travel companion, this bike. Handles nicely, it's got a 21-inch wheel up front, and like always, you can just about feel it when you're coming into a corner. Handling so far, I prefer this than the Honda. I think this is slightly nicer, slightly more composed. Could be partly due down to it's got slightly better suspension, I'm assuming. But the main thing as well is, I'll say it again, the throttle response in a nice way is almost immediate with that torque there. It's a really impressive engine. Suzuki have absolutely nailed it. For a middleweight adventure bike, it suits this bike down to a T. Actually, I'm just pulling over because even just riding then, I forgot I've had it in the traction control in gravel mode and the power in the least powerful mode. What a fool. So I'm putting TC back into 1 and then power back to A. That'll do us. You actually have to, which is a little bit annoying actually, you have to pull over to change the engine power modes and the traction control, which I think is, you know, it's nice to be able to do that on the fly, to be honest, but it's not the end of the world. Whilst we're here, guys, a huge thank you, as I always do, to the people that allow these test rides. A massive thank you to Bulldog Suzuki for lending me the bike today, just outside of Reading, guys. They've got some good demos, and an old friend of mine, special shout out to George for organising this ride. Go down, see George or any of the other guys at Bulldog Suzuki if you fancy riding this, guys. I'll chuck their link in the description of the video. Okay, so we're in A mode now, which is good because I'm going to want to get rid of this cement mixer. So guys, as standard with the Suzuki, you're getting a quick shifter, which I think is just an upshift actually. It's quite rough on the downshift, maybe possibly just an upshift. And you're also getting adjustable suspension and slightly better suspension over the Transalp, and that quickly adds up. So there's your £1,000 extra. That's what you're paying for. Quick shifter and fully adjustable suspension front and rear. There you go. That explains the extra price. And I must say, I am a sucker for a quick shifter. That would help sway my decision. However, you can spec one on the Honda. Okay, let's compare wind protection of the two bikes. Non-adjustable screen, or it looks like it might be adjustable, but you have to undo the bolts, and that is at its highest setting anyway. I'm getting a lot of wind off the top of that screen, whereas on the Honda has a non-adjustable screen again, but taller, and it's actually a great height on the Honda. So I'm giving the wind protection to the Honda. What about suspension? Well, I've already said the suspension is slightly better being fully adjustable on the Suzuki, but I also think it is generally better damped and set up as well. The Suzuki's a really smooth ride. It's soaking up bumps beautifully. There's not much suspension dive either when you come on the brakes either, so I think the Suzuki is winning it in the suspension department. What a lovely ride. There's something so appealing about the Suzuki V-Stroms, especially this 800. Let's open it up, see what the overtake's like. Woo! That is so impressive. That torque, perfect for overtaking. It's almost like an electric vehicle. It comes in so quickly. So just briefly as well, guys, want to demonstrate the quick shifter on the upshift. It is seamless, buttery smooth quick shifter. Goes brilliantly with the engine. Much over 65 miles an hour. You are starting to get some vibes through the handlebars and the pegs actually, which is interesting. Not the end of the world, because this bike's so sort of nice to ride at sort of sub 65 with that torque and just sit in the torque band. But yeah, one to notice those higher speeds, there is some vibrations coming from the engine. Okay guys, let's go over some specifications of the bike. Unfortunately, my camera has run out of battery, so I'm on my phone at the moment. So I hope the audio comes out and everything comes out nicely. So far, so good actually. Really impressed with the engine. Quite surprised at how well the engine is performing. Let's do some of the specs for you. Brakes, suspension, etc. Get that out of the way. Okay guys, so suspension, as mentioned before, is a bit more premium compared to the Hondas. This is fully adjustable upside down forks, Showa forks, 220 millimeters of travel at the wheel. Okay, coming on to the rear suspension, again it is a fully adjustable shock, again with 220 millimeters of travel at the rear wheel. Okay, brakes up front, you've got two 310mm discs with two piston Nissin calipers. Not the strongest brakes in the world, but very similar brakes and specifications to the Transalp. The brakes are more than enough for this bike and for this style of riding. Also, you don't want them too strong for when you're off-road to have any surprises on that front brake. So yeah, brakes are nicely dialed in. On the rear, you have a single 260mm disc with a single piston Nissin caliper. Again, almost identical to the Transalp. Okay, here's one for you. The wet weight in running order of the Suzuki is 230 kilograms. The wet weight of the Transalp is 208 kilograms. The Transalp is a fair bit lighter. I wouldn't say you can feel that much. I'd say the Transalp feels a little bit lighter on the road, but not that much. This is a great handling bike, and both bikes have that lovely sort of adventure middleweight, sort of smaller vibe about them that's more easily handleable, and sort of, you know, less intimidating than the really big adventure bikes. So guys, on to seat height. The seat height on here is 855 millimeters, whereas on the Transalp it is 850 millimeters, so very similar. Seat height's 5mm difference in it. I'm 5'9" with a 32-inch inseam. Excuse how dirty my trousers are. I'm on my tiptoes on this bike, but as I say, with the lower weight, it's easy to handle, manually handle. Overall conclusion, which bike would I have? It is a really tough one. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting to like the Honda more, but this Suzuki is brilliant. Really, really nice bike. I think this engine suits a middleweight adventure bike perfectly. So yeah, it's making it really tricky for me. God, it's impossible, isn't it? The only thing I can say I prefer about the Honda actually is the looks. I much prefer the looks of the Honda, and the wind protection. The screen on the Honda is almost perfect for my height. Other than that, I think I've preferred the Suzuki. It's really tricky. It's a mighty impressive engine, this. If it was my own money, I would have to test ride both again, but I would really consider this Suzuki. It's a lovely ride. Just a great middleweight adventure bike and motorcycle in general, like the Honda was. They're both really good new middleweight bikes. Off-road, I think there will be some question marks for both bikes, but for on-road, just nice, comfortable, friendly motorcycle riding. They're both really good bikes, both really good, neutral, friendly bikes to ride on road. I've got to give you an answer, haven't I? If it was my money today, I would buy the Honda. Yeah, okay, I would buy the Honda, but I may live to regret it, because this Suzuki is awesome and mighty impressive. I'm just struggling with the looks of it at the moment. I don't mind the 1050, although it looks very similar. There's just something about this that's not quite gelling with me. Seriously, don't take my answer for the Honda being a better bike. Come and test ride this thing. Suzuki have worked some magic with that engine specifically and this bike. I think it's a really good bike, and I think they'll do well with it if people can get over the looks. Anywho, there you have it. There's my conclusion. Shout out to Mental Health Awareness, guys. Hope you're all doing well out there. Continue to keep riding and enjoying motorcycling and enjoying the summer while it lasts if you're in the UK. Many thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, and if you want to see my review of the Honda Transalp, I'll put it at the end of the video. Take a look. Yeah, it's worth a look. It's a different bike. Of course it's a different bike. It's a different feeling bike for riding. Alright, see you in the next video. Ciao Bella.